we are back in action at the house today, working on the kitchen cabinets. I've had a few other projects taken care of earlier this morning, but we're back in the kitchen trying to get this stuff wrapped up. Let me show you exactly what we're getting into right now. So we're getting ready to drill the holes for all of the piping that's got to come into the back of this cabinet. This is where our farm sink's going to sit, and then also there's got to be an electric box in the back of the cabinet that's for the disposal and also the dishwasher. So we got to have several cutouts in the back of this cabinet, and I've done my best to get all the markings correct. Used a level across the top of this cabinet, measured down from that, measured from the other cabinet here to try to get everything penciled out on the back of the cabinet here so we know where everything goes, and hopefully the measurements are correct so we don't have multiple holes in the back of the cabinet. What do you think, hon?
Sorry.
Amber's looking for a farm sink.
I am. I'm trying to find the right one.
Yes.
So that we don't have to cut too
Right.
much off of that.
Exactly. So working on that. It came with a cutout for a farm sink, but not every sink fits that cutout, obviously. So we're trying to find one that's pretty similar so we don't have to do a whole lot of hacking and cutting on the front of that beautiful finished cabinet. Earlier today, I had to take care of a couple things over here in the foyer dining room area. We put our flooring on pause here the other day because we were having some popping and squeaking right in this area. And it turns out that as the framing, the new framing down on the crawl space, as it seasoned, one of the joists cupped a little bit, and it actually caused the subfloor to pull away from this partition wall. And every time you walked through here, there was some popping and squeaking and everything as the nails that once held the plate to the subfloor were squeaking up and down. So had to take care of that. So we ended up using some composite shims and then cut a hole in the drywall in several places across both of these walls. And then went in with these beefy construction screws. Those things are about 5 inches long. And there's thankfully a joist right below that. So they go through the plate, through the subfloor below, and into the joist about 2 inches. So by going on the diagonal like that, I was able to hit the joist every time. Did use some composite shims underneath there just to take up the space, because if we'd have tried to pull it tight down against the subfloor, we'd end up ripping the plate away from the studs, and then we'd have other squeaks. So got those anchored down nice and tight so we can go ahead and get our flooring project resumed. Get that taken care of. But in the meantime, I'm gonna get back in the kitchen and back to work. All right, let's drill some holes. All right, so we got our sink base set in place, and thankfully my measurements were actually pretty decent. Managed to get all the pipes through the hole in the first try there. Might have to trim a little bit off of the outlet box there, but it's pretty close. I think we're gonna be all right there. We went ahead and got this one set in place and leveled up with the other cabinet here. Got some shims down underneath it. And that way we can go ahead and set our last cabinet here. This is the trash and recycling bin cabinet. We went ahead and got that set in place too, just to get it in position here. This is where the dishwasher goes. A couple things, we haven't screwed these in and finalized everything yet. A couple things we're waiting on. One is Amber's got to figure out what kind of farm sink she wants to put in there. Yay! As soon as we have farm sink, we can have final dimensions for the cabinet cutout. It's got a basic cutout there, but we're just not sure if we're gonna have to take it out and cut some more off of it. So we're gonna leave that there loose for now. And then once that's set, then we'll be able to set this one. And we've got to get some dimensions on our dishwasher, make sure that that opening is gonna be good to go as well. So we're taking a break on that wall. We've got everything else done, all the wall cabinets and the refrigerator nook. We do have to put a brace on that side panel there, but other than that, it's done. We went ahead and put all the doors back on. Got them looking gorgeous, drawers and doors. So we've moved over to this wall. This is where the range and the hood and some other cabinetry and everything are going. Amber's super excited. Why, babe?
Because it's a beautiful.
Because of the hood?
Yes, the bin hood is gorgeous.
Let's take a look here, see if I can walk around it without kicking it.
Yes, please.
Yep.
Love it.
Trip over this box. So yeah, so there you go. There is the vent hood. It is
bell shape.
It is gorgeous.
It'll be beautiful.
Just like the designer.
Oh, brownie points.
Yeah. So we've just been doing some head scratching here. We got all the installation paperwork out. And
We've never done this before, have we?
no, this is the first for us. We've done kitchens, but never a fancy hood. So we've got the vent power unit here, and we've got the hood, and then we've got the liner. So we're just sitting here ciphering, as my dad would say, and scratching our heads and trying to figure out everything. So what it looks like we have to do is take this piece off the back. That's our mounting cleat. That thing is keyed in. You can see how they back cut these pieces on the side here. And so that is keyed in. So we just take off these 4 screws here, and then this thing will slide down and out. And this gets mounted to the wall. And then there's some L brackets that mount the hood or the power unit. We'll mount that, and we'll hook up our ductwork and our electric. And then the hood lifts in place and then slides down over that mounting plate and locks in.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Let's knock it out. All right, so we're gonna cipher a little bit more and maybe put this baby up. All right, so the hood's on the wall. It's not done yet. As you can see, the blower unit is still sitting there. The liner still sitting there, but the hood is on the wall. Lawrence, our contractor, has been helping us do the hardwood floors and the tile, just stopped by, and I suckered him into give me a hand, set that big beast on the wall there. The tricky thing was getting it perfectly centered, and then getting it set at just the right height, and then marking the cleat on the wall so it would hold that position. So we set up the laser level back there and put the laser level line right on the top of these cabinets. And then we had that line over here as a reference point for the hood. So got the cleat up in there, got it secured with a few screws. There is some blocking in the wall, thankfully. But now that we've got the hood in position there, I'm gonna get Amber to come and check out the positioning of the hood, make sure she's happy with it. We can still go up or down an inch or two and reposition things if we need to, but I'm gonna make sure she's happy with it. If she is, then I'll go ahead and set my blower unit and all that stuff in position, mark out for the pan, take the hood back off, get all that stuff installed, wired, ductwork hooked up, and then we'll set the hood in place for the last time, we hope. So I think that's actually gonna do it for this evening. We actually have snow falling. It's the middle of April and we've got snow coming down outside. So it's kind of a crazy weather weekend here in West Virginia. But yeah, we got snow coming down. Strange. So I think that's going to do it for this evening. I'm going to go home and grab something to eat, and we'll come back down here tomorrow and hit it first thing. See you guys then. All right, so it's Wednesday evening, and we had big plans to come down here and work and get a bunch done today, but really didn't happen. I was on call for my practice today and ended up having to go in and see half a dozen patients. So that occupied quite a bit of my time today. And then we had an engineering inspection at our other house that we're trying to sell to move into this house. So I had to be there for that. And so we just ended up not having the time to get down here today. But we came down probably about 4 o'clock in the evening, and I've been working down here ever since. It's going on 8 at this point. We've been working with the hood. Yesterday we finished by getting the hood hung on the wall and kind of getting things positioned. Amber came down today and kind of pretended like she was cooking and found that the hood was too low, that we really needed to come up about 3 inches. And based on code and spec and everything else, we really needed to come up with it anyway. So we've been working for the last few hours trying to figure out the best way to get that hood up. Is it modify the hood, cut part of it off and slide it up? Is it to change the positioning of the cleat? That could buy us some space. So we ended up moving the cleat and actually cutting the drywall out so that we can slide the hood up into the ceiling to get it in position on the higher cleat. So made a huge mess, cut a big hole, did all sorts of stuff, took the whole hood apart, figured out how everything went together. Even thought about taking it apart and cutting part of it off and, you know, all sorts of stuff. But we finally worked through all the different plans and settled on moving up the hood as high as we can. I think it's going to buy us about 2.5 inches, which is going to put us real close to 30 inches above the cooking space, and that's really where you're supposed to be. So let me show you exactly what we're dealing with. All right, so there's the bottom part of the hood sitting on the floor over there. And I was working on that earlier, actually thinking about trying to take some of that trim loose and cutting part of it off and putting the trim back, but it's glued and pinned and screwed. So we kind of walked back from that plan. And then here's the other part of the hood. I thought about cutting down the top of it. Went up on the chimney a little bit and cutting down part of this, but you can see the complexity of the construction. You've got those different ribs. You've got little blocks glued in between those. And then the exterior is made of a pretty thin veneer, veneer grade plywood. And that stuff looks kind of fragile. So the thoughts of cutting on that and cutting all that stuff apart and trying to take, 2 or 3 inches out of that was not real appealing either. So what we ended up doing was cutting a hole in the drywall so we could actually push the hood up into the drywall as we're getting in a position over the cleat, and then drop it down on the cleat, which is actually higher by a couple inches compared to where it was before. So I just had it all positioned and realized that I can actually move it up just a little bit more. So I'm gonna take it loose again, move it up about 1/2 inch. I think that's probably about the max that we're gonna be able to push it up into the ceiling and still get it to engage on the cleat. And then I actually have to cut a little of this top plate out to allow for the vent pipe. So I've got to do a little bit of work on that still. So I'm going to cut some of that loose, and then that should give us the clearance that we need to slip around that 8-inch duct. So minor surgery compared to what we were thinking about doing earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that out and then move this up about 1/2 inch and position it again and set it up there and see how it looks. All right, so I got the plate raised and the chimney secured, and I got that thing cut out so that it would slip around the 8-inch ductwork going up into the ceiling there. And then I reattached the lower piece here, and we're actually sitting right at 30 inches away from the top of the cooktop. So that's perfect for as far as code and comfort. Really, when we first put it up there, where it was sitting before, we were only at about 27 inches. And I think I would have knocked my head a few times trying to cook. So if we look up inside here, you can see where our duct is. And we got a drain line right next to it, which is a little bit challenging because now the duct is stuck in between that drain line and the joist right next to it. So it really doesn't allow us to move that thing a lot in either direction. So you can see where I had to cut out around the pipe there to give us a little extra clearance, and that actually worked out pretty great. Didn't have to take a whole lot out of it, and I had to trim that rib back just a little bit, but I think that's going to give us a straight shot right up into the duct from the power unit. All right, so I'm going to quit there for the evening. It's getting late. Got to get home and get something to eat and get a little rest before we come back down here tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm not on call, so I should be able to get down here early and begin work on the hood. So tomorrow what I'll do is I'll make a couple of measurements, a couple of marks on the wall for where the power unit should sit. And then I'll go ahead and take the hood off, and then I'll mount the vent unit to the liner, which is the steel piece that goes inside the hood, protects the wood. So I'll go ahead and mount that to the liner, and then the liner and everything will get mounted to the wall on that cleat that actually holds the hood in place. And then I'll know exactly how much ductwork I need to get. I'm gonna have to order, go buy a little piece of ductwork, and then I'll get the ductwork run and get it screwed together, get it taped, and then go ahead and hook up the wiring and test fire the unit, make sure it works. And then hopefully we'll slide that hood over top of it one more time, and that'll be it. So I'm excited to get it put together tomorrow, hopefully get it running, and then be able to move on to the wall cabinets and the base cabinets on that side. So see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back at it in the morning.